Okay, I have 7 o'clock. I'm gonna open the meeting, call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Motion to approve or agenda. Is there a second? All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor. Approval of the minutes of September 18th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye of approving the minutes of September 18th, say aye.
Aye.
Nay if opposed. Hearing none, all in favor. Jordan, any information from the Board of Adjustment?
Yes, we approved 3 items today. One was a prime soils variance, or should I say, class 1 through 3 soils variance for this same applicant that we have here. We had another 1 through 3 soils variance. And Eric, can you remind me what the?
Yeah, I was in St. Charles, or Saratoga Township. Additional use permit will be forthcoming, and then the last one we have was a setback variance.
Yes.
From St. Charles Township, Highway 14.
Are them two connected or?
No, they're all 3 separate.
Okay, okay.
The setback one was as you're coming into St. Charles from Lewiston, the feed door kind of on the left-hand side.
Oh, okay.
They're just adding another building in it, so it was a setback from Highway 14 and a setback in the backyard.
All 3 were approved.
Correct.
Okay. Marcia, you're on camera here, but anything from county commissioners? Commissioner Ward? Lost her in cyberspace, but we'll try to bring her back. Got stage fright on me? No, I don't think so. If not, I can go back to Commissioner Ward. Lou?
They, on Tuesday at the county board meeting, they approved the 2 conditional uses. One was Mitchell for the additional secondary home for healthcare reasons. I was in St. Charles Township, and then another additional use. Less than 40. 2 that we took action on in September. The county board approved.
Authorize both of them. Okay, thank you. Lou, anything on the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, just real quick. We had a steering committee meeting last week. Was it last week? So time flies.
together,
Time
don't
flies
we?
when you're having fun. Last week we had a steering committee meeting. I thought it was a good discussion. Getting the report summaries from all the engagement that we did during phase 1. Then we had an exercise where we split out into small groups and helped inform the draft visionary goals. And I thought that went well. There was a good response from the steering committee. I think they liked the activity. And that was the end of the meeting. Essentially, that took us to 2 hours to do those 2 things. But in the meantime, staff has been working on putting together drafts based on the feedback that we got from the steering committee. And those will probably be released next week back to the steering committee for their review. We've put together a worksheet for them to provide feedback on both the vision and the draft visionary goals. So this is, again, the high level direction that we're setting that'll inform the future objectives and action items that will be developed for the plan. So that's where we're at. There will be communication about the comprehensive plan in coming weeks to you guys, as well as to other committees and the steering committee. So keep an eye out for that. And there will be some public engagement coming up in the next month or so as well. So let me know if there's any questions at all at any time about comprehensive planning.
Thank you, Lou.
Marcia?
Did Marcia get back? Well, anyway, Eric can give us a summary of what Marcia usually does.
Yeah, at the county board meeting, they had problem with audio too because of the Zoom bombing stuff. There's other levels of security that they have to add, and unless you open it up the right route for them to get in, that's probably why she might be kind of locked out right now on it.
Thank you. I think we can move on. We're gonna move on to the petitions. First one is docket PC 10-16-25-01. Consider a petition of Lisa Wingert, is that how you pronounce it?
Wingert?
Wingert, who is seeking a conditional interim slash, it's be a conditional use, that's not interim, I would assume being in a house. Permit regarding the following: to allow a new single-family dwelling on less than 40 acres, 3 acres proposed pursuant to chapter 10.4.6, subchapter 36 of the Winona County ordinance. And I think you have this one, Lou.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This petition involves the split of a 3-acre proposed parcel in section 17 of Whitewater Township. If you look at the inset map on this slide, you will see a flag in the northwestern corner of the county. And that represents the general location of the property in question. It is at the end of Beaver Ridge Drive, which is a dead-end road. The Wingerts operate a beef cattle operation on their farm on 262 acres at the end of Beaver Ridge Drive there. And the white lines on the map that you're looking at are the parcel lines. If you look, here's the farm. Oh, it's not going to show up on there. No, shoot, doesn't show. The farmstead's at the end of the road there with the beef cattle operation, and then the dwelling, existing dwelling, is just to the south of the road as you come onto the property. So this would be a proposed 3-acre parcel. I apologize for the 4 acres there on the map, but the map, the site plan that they showed made it look closer to 4 acres. So that's when I was putting together the site plan, I went off of that. But the notice and what is being proposed is 3 acres. Of course, you know, if they end up going a little bit bigger, you know, that's not as big of a deal as if you were going smaller. So the smaller number is good to be considering for our purposes. Go to the next slide. Okay. Oops. Daisy. Thank you. So here's just a closer look at the property showing the access drive and the proposed 4-acre lot or 3-acre lot. Again, access from Beaver Ridge Drive, which is a township road. The driveway is proposed to be shared with the neighbor. If you look on this slide, the smaller parcel just north and west of the proposed parcel is the neighbor's property and is a parcel that's been approved for a dwelling site on their property. So the proposed driveway will utilize an existing field road and enter their property as shown on the map. But then a driveway will continue to the north on the field road to the neighbor's parcel in the future once that is developed.
Is that the parcel that looks kind of like a half a house there?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And that one was approved for a conditional use permit a year or 2 ago. So that was before you and was approved. Proposed site is 6 to 10% slopes, so fairly gentle and manageable. Our ordinance defines a steep slope as anything above 12%. And then really the restrictions or additional review for steep slopes doesn't kick in until like 18 to 25%, and then 25% and above. To give you an idea of the slopes associated with the site. There was a variance earlier today, as Jordan mentioned, that was granted for a new dwelling on class 3 soils. This is a soil map showing how those soils laid out across the property in relation to the proposed parcel. I would like to, I guess, just take a minute and point out that the proposed parcel is for Lisa and Peter's son, Lucas, who is also involved with the farming operation and on the property, and they can talk a little bit more about that when they have an opportunity to speak. But it's essentially the whole point of the application is to allow the second generation to move back to the farm and more easily help out around the farm with their business. So I have a few photos in case you weren't able to get out to the site. The first one there on the left is the proposed access drive. The field road that comes off of Beaver Ridge Road would act as the driveway. And then the field in the back there would be where the proposed dwelling would be located. You can see the farmstead behind the power pole there. And then the second photo is looking northeast towards the proposed building site, but you can see where the driveway or field road bends to the north towards the neighbor's approved parcel. And this is where the driveway would take off into the cornfield there to the proposed dwelling site. A couple more photos. The first one on the left is showing Beaver Ridge Drive towards the west. And the access drive on the left there is the neighbor's, is to the neighbor's farmstead. And then there's one more farmstead down the road about a mile or so. So 3 farmsteads on Beaver Ridge Drive. So pretty low trafficked, low density area of the county. And then the second photo there on the right is looking north from Beaver Ridge Drive towards the proposed building site, just from a different angle. So you can see that whole, that cornfield there is 6 acres. And their parcel would be about half of that, is what they'd be proposing. Whitewater Township considered the request and signed the township acknowledgement form indicating support. And we have attached 2 conditions to the application if you were to approve the petition. Staff analysis and draft findings are in support of granting the conditional use permit. And I guess if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, we'll stand behind the staff report as is. Any questions for me off the bat?
I don't, anybody? Lou?
Are there easements in place anyway for the driveway from the other properties or whatever that you know of?
That's a good question. There will need to be, but I don't know that there is at this point. As of now, I don't think that there's anything, that's been recorded and is in place. I think there is an easement for field access. So I mean, that might be enough for the 2 property owners.
I'd just rather they avoid troubles in the future.
Yep, and I know that there is a good relationship between the 2 property owners. So yeah, getting that easement in place and making sure that it'll need to be 33 feet in width. In order to
Supporting
grant
documents,
access.
they've already showed support of the owners.
Yeah, the neighbors are in support, so, but yeah, that will be something that'll need to be, the i's will need to be dotted on. Thanks, Louis.
Just trying to save them some headaches and.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As a curiosity, I mean, whatever happened to the, you have to have 40 acres to build? I mean, I've been seeing over the years is these small parcels. And I'm not saying that there's not a good thing or that, but
Mhm.
I was just curious, the number of these small parcels being granted conditional use permits in order to build seems to just keep building and building and building. Is the 40 acres still relevant or not?
It's a good question. A little bit of the history prior to 2011, our density standard was one non-farm dwelling per quarter section. So a quarter is roughly 40 acres. You could have one non-farm dwelling, which would be anything less than how did that go, Eric? Was anything less than 40? 35. It was anything less than 35. So anything less than 35 acres was considered a non-farm dwelling. You could then potentially have a farm dwelling in the remainder. So you could have like a 35 acre parcel, that could be considered a farm dwelling. And then you could have a 5 acre parcel, which was a non-farm dwelling. And so there could be 2 dwellings per quarter potentially.
Okay.
In 2011, they did away with that, partially because it was pushing a lot of people out into the middle of farm fields. So, people were looking at their quarters and they were maximizing their quarters for development. And so they'd end up, with driveways kind of snaking out. And it was just eating up a lot more ag land than what we wanted to be allowing. And so at that point, they just went to large lot zoning, which was of the 40 acre standard. So you had to have 40 acres to build. But they also put in relief, that you could go less as long as you applied for and received a conditional use permit. So what that standard did, it did a couple of good things. It allowed more flexibility, so people were able to put houses where they wanted to put them, more on the edges and in places where maybe they wouldn't have been allowed per the quarter section. So in that regard, I think that it's worked well. But it also kind of took the guardrails off a little bit more as far as density goes. It's still a 40 acre standard. And if you look at this area, obviously that's pretty low density. So you can look at it and be like, well, the neighbors had one non-farm or one small dwelling. Now this property owner is doing the same. I guess we'd look at this group and, the comprehensive plan and the purpose of the zoning ordinance to weigh whether, at what point, I think that's a good question though, at what point is it too many, At this point, I mean, if you look at 40 acres, there's lots of acreage there for these dwellings. I mean, it's still very low density along Beaver Ridge Road. But we really don't have a great, measurement, by which to measure like at what point is too much enough.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty I have
Yeah.
is how can you say no to somebody unless they're really run afoul of regulations like too close to a feedlot or,
Mhm.
something else that's specified, is that it's virtually impossible to say no to any other requests now because they can point back and say, you allowed this one, you allowed this one.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
the more there isn't, I mean, it's important in the zoning world to realize that there is no precedent for really. They're all unique, they're all in a different location, they're separated by time, space and landscape factors and those types of things. But I get it is like, the more that you approve, the harder it is to then, turn around and say no. But I think looking at it critically and on a case-by-case basis and, determining whether it makes sense and whether the density gets to be too much is something to keep in mind.
Just to follow up on that though a little bit, the reason we don't hear much about the ones over 40 is they don't need to come here. They just get their permit.
Mhm.
So we only see the ones that are less than that, as Lou was saying.
There's
So you
just
hear
more and
about 'em.
more coming.
But otherwise, they just come in and get their permit and build. So you're not gonna hear a lot about the ones that have 40 acres or more. Now, the ones that I recall that have been denied too steep a driveway, over 12%. One was too close to a feedlot and it was withdrawn, right? So you can't say it's just universal. You get in there, you get rubber stamped.
No, I understand that, but I just meant with, if it doesn't run afoul of any of the other regulations, it's gonna be really difficult to say your density is too high or, that, in the future, it's going to get tougher and tougher to.
And I don't
Manage it.
disagree with what you're saying either. I just want to explain the ones that come true. But in the same token, as we work on the comprehensive plan coming up, one of the big issues comes up is lack of housing, right? Well, who can afford 40 acres? So you're looking at these areas that are nice sites to build a house on and not have too high a density. Now, as Lou and I have been in many meetings, we can argue for a week on what is the level of density. Depends on
That's
what
the
area.
next Pandora's
ethnic groups
box.
And stuff. But they're good points and looking in from the outside, you wonder how they make reason out of this. And sometimes it is difficult, isn't it? It's to be a fine line. So anyway, I appreciate your questions, but we'll get back to the petition.
The last thing I'll just add is that there are other options for how to deal with density, that the county can look at, but, at this point, this is what we have to deal with and what
Right.
the rules that we're working with, so.
Lou, I have a question. What is the smallest permitted, like how much smaller could they go should they meet all setback requirements?
The minimum lot size is 1 acre.
1 acre?
Yeah.
Once they have this,
In the ag district.
okay.
So it's smaller in some of the residential districts.
And then if this is permitted, it gets its own parcel ID and all that.
Yep.
And then from there, is there any process that comes back to us should they boundary adjust smaller or larger?
If they were to go smaller, especially, and it was, a significant change, then it'd come back for an amended conditional use permit.
So if they were to go to that 1 acre, it
Mhm.
would trigger a conditional use again?
Potentially, yeah, yeah. That's why we try to get it, pinned down pretty close. We had this discussion with the Board of Adjustment today, and what I said there was, we're noticing it for 3 acres, but if they end up at 4 or 5 acres, I don't see much of a difference there, especially since it's getting larger. But if it was like, we're proposing a 20-acre parcel and it ends up like they go to like a 10 or a 5, I mean, that's significantly different and needs to be renoticed and amended, I would say, so. Little changes are, I think, in keeping with the spirit of what they're proposing, but a larger change like that would need an amendment.
Okay, thanks, Lou. Steve.
I just wanted to say too, talking about approving and denying, there's the big picture issue of what's happening sort of at the comprehensive plan level, or what the goals of the county are, what's happening by applying the rules that we have. But for each one that you do, you really want to look at the findings of fact and the staff recommendations, and each one of those are, if something is denied, it has to be because it doesn't fit in with one of those. I think the chair is correct that the bigger issue is probably more of an ordinance, comprehensive plan issue, and whether it's achieving its goals. And then you are applying that to the factors that decide whether or not you should approve it or not.
Thanks, Steve. Would the petitioners like to come up? Peter, Lisa, Luke, any of you can come up and tell us about your project.
Hi, I'm Lisa Wingert. My husband and I, Peter, own the parcel that is in question. Our son Lucas is the one that expressed interest in building. He currently helps on the farm. He enjoys agriculture. He has some self-employed businesses, other than working on the farm. Right now, as Pete and I think about the future, and we're just taking small steps now because we don't know like what we really want to do for the future. I mean, I'd love to see our son Lucas, maybe transition into the farm, but this small 4-acre piece, if we can just get him and his wife closer to us, it would help. Right now, I want to thank the board and all you for your review of this file. And if you have any questions, I'm here to review them or answer them.
Does anybody have any questions, Lisa, from the board?
Yeah,
ahead, Shep.
what's the family size that Lucas currently has?
So Lucas just got married. He just got married on Saturday. So he has no children. yet.
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. But right now lives in Plainview. So then if there's a cow calving or we have something that's an urgent need, then we have to like, hey, can you get out here to help mom and dad and, figure out what to do. But at this time, Lucas is married. Allie, so. Yes.
I think that I read somewhere in the original docket that this proposed area was fenced and was currently in pasture, but now when Lou talked about it, he's pointed out that was a cornfield. Which one of them is right?
So right now, there is a fence that's around that whole piece right there. Soon it'll be combined or chopped off. Then we'll run the cattle that are in the pasture right next to it in that piece to graze. We may bring a feeder wagon or whichever in there. So yes, there is a fence around there. And because Luke he's working on the financing and all that, we'll see what we need to do to just continue to have some type of border around his house. We're not gonna have the cattle, of course, running around,
Well, yeah, I understand that, but that's one of the criteria, right, that we are supposed to consider is whether this land was actually tilled or not.
Well, the variance that he got passed today took care of that issue.
Okay, okay. But
Yeah, it's, as you said, it's a consideration,
yeah,
but the variance board has
All
already
right.
okayed it.
all right,
So that's off our docket, so to speak.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from any other commissioners?
In this area, do you have any yourself or any of your neighbors that have I forget what we call them, but they're like temporary housing for farm workers, anything like that? No? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep,
If,
thank you.
if we need any more, we'll bring you back if we
Okay.
need any answers.
Motion
Okay,
to-
motion to open the public
meeting.
meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got Eugene as a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Right on.
Is Marcia back? Before we, at the end? we'll
I
do a-
am. I got
Marcia, When
through.
we get that far, I'll do a roll vote, okay? Public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone. State your name and address and your concerns. Okay, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone and state your name and address and your concerns. And for the third time, anybody wishing to speak for or against this petition, please come to the microphone. State your name and your concerns and your address too and concerns. Nothing
Motion to-
online?
Motion to close. the
A
public
second
hearing.
for that?
Second.
All right, Jordan seconds at this time. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So we've closed the meeting and now,
Move approval with the findings and facts of the committee.
is there a second to that?
A second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
Mr. Chair.
And Marcia,
Marcia?
Yeah, Marcia here. Just a question out of curiosity, being that the two parcels will be relatively close together, is there going to be any option for them to like share a well? I know they'd have to have individual septic systems. But again, that would be up, there's no restrictions for them to be allowed to share a well, is there?
No, but they may want to do that, but I would say that is their.
Yeah, it's there.
I
Yeah,
don't,
it's
I
just,
think it's basically out of order to put it in
No, no, I'm just asking for curiosity, not to put it as a condition or anything, no, but to give them
Well-
options.
I understand your curiosity, but I want to stick to the petition.
I would say it's out of order.
Well, I already said that, Lou.
Okay.
I'm not out of order, Louis. I can ask questions.
I didn't say you're out of order. I just said putting a condition or whatever. Well, that's their business.
Oh, no, no, I don't want to put it as a condition, but I think as the earlier discussion with us allowing more and more small units in and around the neighborhood, I mean, sometimes shared wells make sense. So. Thank you.
Another discussion. Otherwise, I'm going to do a roll call vote.
I have just a point.
Sure.
So again, with that, we are regarding this as though it meets all the other needs of like a large farm, 40-acre parcel. You know, that's what they got the variance for. Are they permitted all the other entitlements that come with having a large farm? So again, my only concern would be, could they also get a temporary farm dwelling on the property outright without having to come back for a conditional use or amended CUP?
They could, according to the District of Agricultural, they're entitled to every permitted use that's available in the Ag District as well as conditional use. If the son in this case would have been buying the entire farm, we wouldn't even have these applications. It'd be permitted as an additional farm dwelling, but for financial reasons, most of the loans now, they want a smaller parcel for mortgages and collateral and whatnot. So a lot of times we see this situation where the lending institutions and the banks are really in the driver's seat of creating a smaller parcel for them. But yes, if circumstances changed on the farm and they wanted to bring in additional farm dwellings, they could do that for full-time farm help. So,
And they wouldn't have to, it wouldn't be an amendment of their CUP.
correct. It's when this conditional use permit, if it's granted, will be just referring to that new legal description describing that 3 to 4 acre parcel.
And I understand what Eric's saying. Financially, your banking institution is going to want to carve out and they want to know exactly what they're putting the loan on.
That makes sense.
Any other questions of the commission before we do a roll vote? Louis, I'm going to start with you.
Aye.
Aye. John?
Aye. Aye.
Mike Flynn is aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, here, Marcia.
Aye.
Aye, so it's so moved, we're gonna recommend it to go before the county board for final approval. That will be November 12th at 9 a.m. here. So that's your next time to get the final, but we're recommending you go ahead with this project. Any other comments before I ask for an adjournment?
Yeah, I got
Go
one.
ahead.
That permit we granted for him to put fill up there by the monastery or whatever you call it, by your place.
Yep.
I was told that, maybe you told me that they had to put it on 43 Quarry for a while because of the length of time it took them to get approved by the county commissioners.
That is correct.
Okay. I was talking to a guy from another county and he just got incensed because he said that should have never been that way. Now, who's at fault for that? I'm just asking out of curiosity.
Well, in this case, because they didn't have their conditional use permit.
Yeah,
Until July 8th, they had to put it somewhere. No, it might have been moved or it might still be there. I think it got moved. But they
okay.
had to keep their project going
Yeah, I understand.
and they
In
couldn't.
other words, it was the contractor's fault for not applying for the permit earlier.
Or the county for not getting it approved on time.
Every county is different. In this case, I knew about this project 2 years ago,
Well, that's what I would assume.
but I can't control everybody there, whether it was
Right,
an
I know.
engineer. Now, the state of Minnesota was very involved in this. So at this point, pointing fingers at who was wrong, but certain counties that wouldn't have happened. Now, we have an ordinance that says if you move over 1,000 yards,
Yep,
you need a conditional use permit.
yep.
I can get in my car and drive a half a mile into a county where you don't need that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So they got caught probably used to not having to get one. So somebody, and they deal with a lot of people here,
Yeah,
and the chain of events just didn't get here. So to keep the project going, which started June 2nd, if you remember,
yeah,
and finally they got their conditional use, if I remember, July 8th.
yeah, something like that, yeah.
So we had 5-6 weeks there, project hadn't moved. So in this case, they had to go to an active quarry or whatever that's moving, whatever, and remember, every load they took over, they brought a load back
Okay,
because they needed gravel.
yeah,
So that makes sense to me, but it was a lot more trucking to haul that over.
Yeah.
But project has to go. And as we're talking, they hope they still get done by November 20th. Got a ways to go yet. So when I came, I was delayed because they were still working until at least 7 or 8 at night. Try to get this project done.
yeah.
And Gene, Marcia here, the county is all on a timeline. It's all statutorily, timelines that we have to follow. We do have to permit them in so many days, but it's just a matter when we meet and how the timing is on these conditional use permits. So the county board followed the process that we've always followed as far as a timeline.
Well, I understand that, but the person that I was talking to, he was probably from a county that had different,
I can almost
Regulation.
guarantee it, Jane.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not shocked by any of that.
yeah,
I mean, another consideration is how long was it between this company being awarded the project to when they had to start? I don't know how much time they had to.
okay, I understand all of that.
either.
But I was just wondering because I would like to prevent us from having this problem in the future if we could possibly.
And that goes back to our comprehensive.
That goes to
plan.
the comp plan. That's why we.
Well, then, in other words, I'll have to live another 100 years.
Yep, I guess so.
Okay.
How long?
Motion to adjourn then.
Were you gonna have Marcia give the update on the?
No, we already got that from.
We got the update on the permits that were
Okay.
authorized.
Yeah, they were approved with no changes. Yes.
Yeah, and Eric gave you a report, Marcia.
Yeah, I know. We got some glitches with technology we're working on.
I was on a Zoom meeting last night and I ran into the same stuff. It was at 6 o'clock till 8, and I had to go back, re-go on twice, because it
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah, it's security and you got to get codes and
But anyway, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Hearing none, all in favor of adjourning. And I got 7:37. Thank you.
Second.